you are about to learn something that most medical professionals don't even know or have any grasp of. Ready? Here we go. There are essential amino acids. So that's the protein. When you eat protein, and especially animal-based proteins, you get what's called complete proteins, which is all the 29 essential amino acids. Your body has to get those from the foods you consume or you will die. So protein is mandatory. You need it. It's essential. If you don't need it, you die. Guess what else we have? Essential fatty acids. So that's the fats that you eat. You absolutely have to have external sources of fat. You can't eat absolutely no fat at all in your diet and live. It's essential. Essential simply means your body can't make it, and so therefore you have to consume it to get it. So essential amino acids, the proteins, essential fatty acids, the fat you eat, especially saturated fat and monounsaturated fats, not so much on the polyunsaturated fats. And so what about, is there essential carbohydrate acids? No. Is it surprising to learn that there is no nutritional requirement for carbohydrate? Is that new information to you? Now, most of you that watch Jimmy Rants, it is not, because I talk about it ad nauseum. I wrote about it in Keto Clarity many, many years ago. I've been talking about this for years. There is no such thing as an essential carbohydrate. And you might be thinking, well, wait a minute. We always hear you have to have carbs in your diet to get energy, and you need an obligate amount of carbs in your diet to feed your brain, and da-da-da-da-da. And if you don't have enough glucose, you're going to have a deficiency, like this article I'm about to read to you. And it's simply not true. They don't even know basic biology of how the human body works. And this includes your doctor. Your doctor does not know this information that I'm sharing with you. Physiologically, they know all about the processes. They don't put two and two together, though. So when you don't eat carbohydrate, like on a ketogenic diet, like on a carnivore diet, like on any kind of low-carb diet, when you don't eat carbs, what does the body do to get what it needs? It has this wonderful process where it takes the fats and the proteins you do eat, and it converts them into glucose. Because there are various glucose-dependent functions in the body. So glucose is not the boogeyman. The source of how you get the glucose is. And so they are under this assumption that there's this great need for all these carbohydrates in your body. Would it surprise you to learn that the amount of sugar in your entire body, think about this for a second, and this is everybody, the amount of sugar in the entire body of a healthy individual. Want to take a guess how much sugar the entire body is made up of? 1 teaspoon of sugar. 1. Now, you can get that teaspoon of sugar very easily from the fats and proteins that you consume. And then a process called gluconeogenesis, where the body converts some of that extra amino acids that you eat, some of the fat that you eat, it converts it into glucose to go to all those glucose-dependent functions of the brain, the heart, and all the organs and all the body, and giving you the things that you need with that. And you become a ketone burner, and the glucose requirements become much less. But 1 teaspoon of the entire body. Now, how many doctors think that? They don't, because they tell you to go on the diet that the dietary guidelines are based on. And those are based on very high carbs. So if you're just joining us, guys, I'm about to read from one of those cockamamie articles. I love reading from these articles because this is what makes it into journalism. This is what Grandma Susie calls you and says, "Hi, I heard that you need to have carbs and you're going to have a deficiency if you don't eat carbs. I read it, so it must be true." That's why I'm here, to bring a little bit of sanity to the insane world that is nutritional health. All right, so if you just joined us, I'm reading from an article from NDTV. Are you eating enough carbs? Watch out for the signs of carbohydrate deficiency. No such thing, but we'll get into that. A number of weight loss diet plans discourage people from consuming carbs. But carbs are extremely important for your health. Please, somebody tell me what the importance of carbohydrates are in your health. I get it. If you want to point to vegetable carbohydrates, certain ones of them can serve a healthy purpose, but eating carbs in and of themselves is not the be all end all. My friend Adam says, picking on my Aunt Susie now, are you? Yes, I am, Adam, because we all have that Aunt Susie and that Uncle Clyde who doesn't know how to shut up when they read an article or they hear about something and they really don't have the full context of it. But what do carbs do that are so important to your health? Like, think about that one for a moment. Maybe some of the fiber and gives a little bit of benefit, blah, blah, blah. But really, at the end of the day, those carbs are just kind of window dressing to the main part of your meal, which is the fat and protein. They say that the carbs fuel your body. Well, guess what else can fuel your body? Fat and ketones. This is what's missing in a lot of these articles too. They pretend like carbs, which turn to glucose in the body, is the only way to fuel your body. If you choose to be a glucose burner, then absolutely, that is an absolutely true statement. But they don't ever show you the flip side. If you choose not to eat carbohydrates, you replace the carbs with fat, that fat gets converted into ketones, and that becomes a fuel source as well. And I would argue a cleaner fuel source. Your brain thrives on ketone bodies much more so than it does the glucose from eating carbohydrates. You don't get the blood sugar and insulin effects. You keep the inflammation levels minimal, all the things that lead to chronic disease. Why do they leave that out of these articles? Oh, it's an inconvenient truth. That's why. Provides your body with fuel, provides it with energy, and ironically, it induces weight loss eating more carbs. Quick poll. How many people ate more carbs and you lost weight? Anybody? I'm not hearing anybody because I've literally never, within the context of an adequate calorie diet, heard somebody have the preponderance of their diet be carbohydrates with no massive amounts of exercise, that have obesity, that have some kind of level of insulin resistance. I've never heard of those people actually losing weight, eating massive amounts of carbs. And the question should be why? What is the problem that would make carbohydrates not conducive for weight loss? It's insulin resistance. And when you're insulin resistance, which can manifest in a lot of ways, type 2 diabetes, one of the worst ways, but even like higher blood sugar levels, maybe a little bit higher triglycerides, there are all kind of things that define the metabolic syndrome. Go look that up. And if those things are out of whack, guess what? You have a disease of carbohydrate overload, not deficiency. And so if you're overloading your body with too many carbs, this is the result. And so articles like this come around. Now I'm going to say it bluntly. Dumbass articles like this come around, and it just puts people in a state of mind that, oh, I guess all those carbs on that plate are perfectly fine. And they're anything but fine. Even the banana. 29 grams of sugar in that banana. Oh, but it's natural carbs. And yes, it will naturally raise your blood sugar. So let's get into the article. I told you this one was going to fire me up today. And if you joined us late, yeah, did you know you can have a thing called carbohydrate deficiency? And if you believe that, you need to go get your head checked. All right. Carbs can be helpful for weight loss if they're eaten in the right quantity. Okay, I agree with that. 0. That's the right quantity. Carbs are very healthy in the right quantity of 0 consumption. That would be an accurate statement. I wonder if they're calling for 0 in this article. Something tells me probably not. In the world of nutrition, carbs are the second most defamed macronutrient right after fats. Well, I don't think fats should have ever been vilified. The only reason fats were vilified was all the studies were pointing the finger at sugar and carbs. And so what did they do? They squelched those studies and they started making up bullshit research against saturated fat. It has never, ever actually been shown in any study of a randomized controlled clinical trial, ever. Fats have never been shown to be anything but healthy. Go read The Big Fat Surprise by Nina Teicholz. Probably the best tome on this subject of saturated fat and why it's so healthy. There's other books out there, but that's still my favorite one that describes why fat is so important. A number of weight loss diet plans, like keto, discourage people from consuming carbs. Yeah, you bet your sweet bippy I discourage people from eating carbs in Keto Clarity. They either ask you to go low carb, which is a ketogenic diet, or an Atkins diet, or even a paleo would be considered lower carb diet, or carb-free, much in the same way that carnivore is pretty much carb-free. But let's get one thing straight. It's not going to be good, guys. Carbs are extremely important for your health. Why? This macronutrient fuels your body, provides you with energy, and ironically induces weight loss. This is contrary to the popular belief which says carbs are the main culprit behind weight gain. All right, let me stop there. Carbs are the main culprit behind weight gain, because let's talk about weight gain. What is the impetus behind why people gain weight? It's not calories. That's what these people have been focused on, hyper-focused on forever. And so if it's not calories, what is it? It's hormones, and specifically the insulin hormone. So then you look at insulin and you look at its role in the body. What does it do? It responds when glucose goes up. Well, what are the things that make glucose go up in the body? Carbohydrates is the main one. There's other things as well. Stress can do it. If you over-exercise, there's all kinds of things that can raise blood glucose. But the primary driver of glucose in your body going up is carb consumption. And even the so-called healthy whole grains and quinoa and buckwheat and all those other so-called superfoods, those are the things that are raising your blood sugar, which then the pancreas has no question about what they have to do. It has to pump out insulin. And over time, it has to keep pumping out insulin, hammer down the blood sugar, pump out insulin, hammer down the blood sugar, pump out insulin. You see what I'm saying? It becomes this ruthless cycle of you constantly are making your body pump out insulin. Well, over time, that insulin becomes less and less effective because it's just getting tired of having so much glucose having to do its job that it requires more insulin to do the same job, and then more insulin. That's how you develop insulin resistance and eventually type 2 diabetes and all these other manifestations of insulin resistance that we've talked about, heart disease, Alzheimer's, PCOS, all the things. And so for them to say it's contrary to the popular belief which says that carbs are the main culprit behind weight gain, they are. They are. Now, can you lose weight eating lots of carbs and low fat? You bet you can, but you got to keep your energy level, your calories so low that at some point you can't really keep that up long term. The beauty of a ketogenic approach, for example, is that it not only puts you in that state, it actually allows your body to thrive so you can keep doing it for the rest of your life. Carbs can be helpful for weight loss if they're eaten in the right quantity. So when you're aiming for weight loss, listen to what they recommend. If you're aiming for weight loss, try to cut your carb intake if it is over 2,000 calories in a day. So they're making the predication of cutting your calories as a way to cut down on carbs. Okay, but carbs have 4 grams or 4 calories per gram. Protein has 4 calories per gram. Fat has 9 calories per gram. So the temptation that people have is, oh wow, if I eliminate more fat, I can lower calories even faster, and therefore lower calories means more weight loss. That's how they trick their brain into it. So they don't really pay attention to carbohydrates.